Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring a feeling that's incredibly common, yet really deeply personal. Taking your very first flight.
Hmm,
It's more than just, getting from A to B. It's a psychological journey too, right? Navigating this complex system for the very first time.
that's right. It's a moment a lot of us remember vividly, or perhaps you're still looking forward to it. It feels significant, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A step into a whole new world of
Yeah.
travel and, well, procedures. Oh,
Definitely. And our source material for this deep dive isn't some dry technical manual or a research paper. It's
right.
much more human than that.
What have we got?
It's a personal narrative actually captured in a transcript.
Hmm.
It recounts this exact experience from start to finish.
Ah,
You get the airport, the whole process, the flight itself,
hmm.
all seen through these fresh first-timer eyes.
That's great. That offers a really unique perspective, not just what happens step by step, but how it genuinely feels.
Yeah.
When you're totally unfamiliar with the rules, the sounds, the sheer scale of it all.
We-
So we get to unpack the practical stuff, the packing, security, finding the gate alongside that whole emotional roller coaster, the excitement, the nerves, and then hopefully that feeling of accomplishment at the end.
Right. So our mission today is to go beyond just retelling the story. We want to pull out the insights, maybe some surprising details, and, the kind of universal principles about facing new challenges.
Finding confidence in these big, complex environments.
Yeah, all drawn from this one specific first flight. Think of it maybe as a guide to the feeling of firsts, using the airport as our sort of case study.
I like that. And as we explore this, perhaps you listening can think about a time you faced something big and new, or what parts of this story really strike a chord with you.
Good point. Okay, so let's start where any big trip begins, that anticipation the night before.
Right, the source opens right there. That palpable feeling, sitting on the bed looking at this empty suitcase,
Yeah.
but feeling that swirl of excitement mixed with, well, nervous energy. It's that classic pre-adventure cocktail, isn't it?
Totally. And there's a lovely, simple detail mentioned in the transcript. Writing first flight ever in a little notebook
Oh, that's nice.
and drawing a little airplane next to it is just a small ritual, but it really marks the moment, acknowledges the bravery it takes.
Yeah, it makes it real. And then comes the practical bit, the packing.
Right. The narrative walks us through filling that empty space. You've got clothes, t-shirts, pants, socks, that essential warm jacket,
The usual stuff.
the usual toiletries. But notice the specific items that get highlighted. A book, headphones described as never travel without them, which I relate to.
Definitely.
A snack, and even a little gift for the person waiting at the other end. So it's not just about the clothes, it's about items for comfort, connection, maybe a bit of distraction.
Good point. So the main suitcase handles the bulk, but then there's the backpack curated for like immediate needs.
Exactly. Phone, charger, crucially, the passport and ticket, and that little notebook, the chronicle of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But what struck me here is the feeling articulated after packing is done. The source says, I feel proud I packed everything by myself.
Ah, that's really significant, isn't it?
Mm.
That process of preparing, of taking responsibility for your own stuff, your own readiness, it's part of building that competence, that confidence before you even walk out the door.
Right. The journey of navigating the system, it kind of begins right there with mastering your own personal logistics.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so fast forward to the morning itself.
The source describes this early start. It's still dark outside, that feeling of sleepiness battling the buzzing excitement.
Been there. The journey to the airport is by taxi. And the narrative captures how the quiet streets sort of give way to this increasing internal speed, the heart picking up pace.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that instinctual thing, holding the backpack tight, taking a deep breath. The nervousness is definitely there, but it's framed as a good way, more like an energy than just pure fear.
And there's some key support mentioned here, too. A parent in the car is laying out the basic steps. Check-in, then security, then find the gate.
Just the basics.
Yeah, a really simple explanation, but the source notes listening so carefully, wanting to do everything right. That desire for competence when you're facing something new, it's just so universal, isn't it?
It really is. So, arriving at the airport, the description shifts immediately to sensory overload.
Yeah. Big lights, tall glass doors, and many people. It looks huge, apparently much bigger than expected.
Airports often do first time around.
It's not just a building, it's this whole environment designed on a massive scale. It can be pretty intimidating when you first encounter it.
Exactly. And the soundscape is crucial too. Suitcases rolling everywhere. There's like cacophony of voices in different languages,
Yeah.
and that disembodied voice over the loudspeaker making announcements.
Yeah, you're completely immersed in this dynamic, sort of multi-layered system.
And the feeling described is new and a little confusing, but also exciting, which captures it perfectly.
Mm.
And the simple act of holding a parent's hand is mentioned as a physical anchor in all that swirling newness.
That feeling, that mix of confusion and excitement, it really reveals a key dynamic of facing complex new systems, I think.
How so?
Well, it's overwhelming, yeah, but the potential reward, the flight, the destination that provides the motivation to push through that initial disorientation.
Right.
And seeing those signs, even if you don't fully grasp them yet, check-in, security, gates,
Right.
it starts to impose some kind of structure on the chaos.
Okay, so you've absorbed the initial shock of the place.
Yeah.
The first big procedural hurdle is check-in.
Right. The source finds the right area, notes there's actually a short wait in line, which is lucky,
Always a bonus.
and captures that moment of just observing other travelers. The business types, people off on holiday, some looking tired, some smiling.
Yeah. And that observation, it's more than just killing time, isn't it? It's seeing yourself as part of this bigger flow, this community of travelers, each on their own path.
Kind of broadens the perspective beyond your own anxiety, maybe.
Exactly. Then comes the actual interaction at the desk.
Handing over the passport and the ticket, the lady in uniform, the typing sounds,
Standard procedure.
and then the tangible reward, the boarding pass. The source specifically notes the seat number, 14A, a window seat.
The coveted window seat on the first flight. Holding that piece of paper is such a significant moment. My first boarding pass.
Yeah.
It's not just an instruction card, it's proof, isn't it? A token that makes the whole journey feel real. It represents successfully navigating that first official hurdle.
And then the physical letting go. The suitcase on the moving belt, waving goodbye to it.
That's a wonderfully human detail, isn't it?
Yeah.
It captures that mix of trust and maybe slight apprehension as your stuff just disappears into the airport's guts.
It sort of demystifies the process a little bit, watching it go and understanding it's going to the plane, too.
Right. It's the first point where you really hand control over to the system. It enters this whole network of barcode scanning and, complex logistics to make sure it ends up in the right place. A whole dance happening behind the scenes.
Which brings us neatly to what is often the most anxiety-inducing step for newcomers: security.
Yes.
Yeah.
The source notes, many people here too, really emphasizing the public nature of this process. You're kind of on display.
And this part of the narrative offers some really good insights into interacting with authority and procedure when you're feeling under pressure.
How so?
Well, the process is detailed. Getting a tray, putting in the backpack, jacket, shoes, phone, the feeling of being a little nervous, that intense desire to do it right.
We've all felt that. Putting the tray onto the belt, walking through the archway, and that sound.
The beep, the source says my heart jumps a little. That sudden alert, signaling you might have done something wrong, it immediately ramps up the tension.
Oh, yeah. And here, the narrative gives us a perfect example of a really common first-time mistake. Forgetting the liquids rule.
The water bottle.
Exactly. The security guard asks, and suddenly the water bottle is remembered. Oops.
But the source highlights the guard's reaction here. Opening the bag, taking out the bottle, explaining the rule clearly, no water, but doing it kindly.
And confirming everything else is okay. That interaction is actually crucial, I think. It shows that navigating the system isn't just about getting everything perfect first time.
No, it really is.
It's also about how mistakes are handled and the impact of just, a bit of human decency within a rigid process.
Absolutely. And that positive resolution, even though there was an error, it leads to this feeling of pride. The source describes it as like making a mistake, but staying calm and sorting it out.
That's a key takeaway, isn't it? Navigating new systems builds your sense of agency, not just through getting things right, but through successfully troubleshooting when things inevitably go a bit wrong.
Yeah. Putting your shoes back on, following the parent, another little layer of competence added. You got through it.
Okay, so security successfully navigated. The main administrative hurdle is cleared. Now it's about finding your specific pass through the terminal itself, walking through that long hallway, seeing this maze of signs and numbers. And this is where the boarding pass changes roles, doesn't it? It goes from being a token of achievement to being a crucial tool for navigation.
Right. Looking at it, finding the gate number gate 12 in this story and actively following those directional signs. It's a practical application of the information you were given earlier.
And arriving at Gate 12, finding it positioned near a big window with that view.
The airplanes.
Exactly. Parked, moving around, taking off. The source captures that really profound moment of watching one plane ascend and just whispering, wow, that will be me soon.
That connection between the sort of abstract idea of flying and the concrete reality unfolding right outside the window, that must be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it transforms the anxiety back into wonder, validates the whole, sometimes stressful process you've just been through.
And the atmosphere at the gate is observed too. People settled in, reading on their phones, some even sleeping. Everyone's just waiting, each in their own little pre-flight bubble.
The nervousness is still there, the source acknowledges it, but now it's balanced with feeling ready. And there's another check of the backpack passport, boarding pass, phone, headphones.
That physical reassurance, making sure you've got the essentials.
Yeah. And external validation helps too. A parent's encouraging words are mentioned. You're doing well. You're almost there. It just underscores the role of support when you're navigating challenges.
For sure. The countdown begins. Just 20 more minutes.
Leading to that internal declaration, I'm ready and I'm brave.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's not just passive waiting. It's an active shift in mindset, really embracing the challenge.
It's courage defined not by the absence of fear, maybe, but by the decision to proceed despite it.
Well put. Then the system signals the next phase, the boarding announcement. Now boarding flight 245 to River City, including the pre-boarding call. Hearing your specific flight number makes it suddenly very real.
Walking towards the boarding line, the source notes the hands feel a little cold. That final check by the airport staff confirming the seat number again, 14A, window seat, and that simple enjoy your flight.
It's the last human handover, really, before you step into the aircraft itself.
And walking down the jet bridge is described as a long hallway. It's that liminal space, isn't it? The bridge literally connecting the solid ground of the terminal to the vessel that's about to fly.
Yeah, and the heart is beating fast, acknowledging the significance of this transition.
And then that moment of stepping onto the plane, the change in environment, soft lights, all those rows of seats, the immediate welcome from the flight attendant near the door.
The source note smiling nervously and just saying hello.
Finding seat 14A right by the window, and the view is instantly described as amazing. Seeing the airport, the ground crew, the other planes from this totally new vantage point, that's a real payoff for the journey through the terminal.
Definitely. Fastening the seatbelt, guided by the sign, and getting a thumbs up from a flight attendant. Another small, nonverbal bit of reassurance within this very structured environment.
And then the sequence of takeoff begins.
Right. This is where the system really takes over completely. The plane moving slowly at first, then faster, faster still, that rumbling building, the feeling of acceleration pinning you back slightly.
And then that shift going up higher, higher into the sky. The physical sensations are described as intense. Holding the armrest tight, feeling that pressure in the ears.
Ah, yes, the ear pressure. But the simple, practical wisdom shared earlier comes into play. Swallowing helps.
It does. Looking outside, the dramatic change in perspective is noted. The ground shrinking, cars becoming tiny, clouds suddenly looking close enough to touch.
And the source perfectly captures that moment of pure triumph. I did it. I'm flying. All the prep, the navigating, the nerves, culminating in this incredible, almost unbelievable sensation.
High up in the sky, surrounded by white clouds that look like pillows, the sun shining through. The description shifts, interestingly, to feeling quiet and calm.
Yeah, the initial fear of takeoff seems to give way to this profound sense of peace and relief, being much better now.
The narrative notes observing other passengers reading, watching movies, sleeping. You're now part of the shared, calmer experience inside the cabin.
And the in-flight service arrives, the flight attendant offering drinks, receiving apple juice and crackers. It's just a moment of simple comfort and routine, but within this extraordinary context of being thousands of feet up.
And here's a beautiful, quiet moment of processing the experience. Taking out the notebook again.
Ah, the notebook returns.
And writing a single powerful sentence. I'm flying for the first time, and it's amazing.
Lovely. Listening to soft music, feeling calm, happy, and proud as the plane moves gently. The physical journey is ongoing, but that internal struggle of navigating the new system has largely resolved into this state of quiet awe and accomplishment.
This peaceful phase continues right up until the pilot's announcement preparing for landing. The signal to fasten the seatbelt again.
Back to procedure. The view changes as the plane descends. Clouds disappear, the ground becomes visible again, buildings look small, roads appear like lines on a map.
The ear sensation returns, but the simple technique of swallowing is remembered and helps again, learning from experience already.
Holding the armrest as the wheels touch down, bump bump. That physical reality of reconnecting with solid earth. The plane slowing, the braking, the final stop. Landing safely is the final procedural success of the flight itself.
And another quiet, I did it, whisper to oneself, that internal acknowledgement of completing the whole challenge.
Then leaving the plane, walking back into the airport, the legs feeling a little wobbly after being seated for so long, a common feeling.
And the final, human connection point, meeting the cousin waiting at the arrival area. The waving, the hug, and the cousin's acknowledgement. You flee all by yourself, recognizing the significance of that solo journey through the whole system.
Yeah, that's important validation. The happy response. My first flight. And retrieving the suitcase, that item you trusted to the system hours ago,
Yeah.
now safely returned. Mission accomplished.
The narrative concludes with that feeling of deep accomplishment. Happy, did something new, was brave and proud. It's a powerful summary of the entire arc, not just the steps taken, but the transformation experienced.
This narrative really does give us a unique window into that process, doesn't it? Navigating a complex system for the first time. It highlights how even those seemingly simple steps like check-in or security are filled with these small moments of uncertainty, learning, interaction, all building confidence along the way.
Exactly. It underscores that bravery in these situations isn't really about knowing everything beforehand or having zero fear. It's more about taking it step by step, right?
Seeking support when you need it, recovering from minor errors because they will happen, and allowing yourself to feel the wonder alongside the nervousness.
So, reflecting on this journey we've just taken through the source material, what part of this first flight experience stood out most to you? Was it a specific detail about the process, maybe the description of a feeling or an interaction that seems particularly significant?
Or perhaps what steps seemed, I don't know, clearer or maybe even more complex than you might have anticipated before hearing this account.
Yeah, good question for reflection. And maybe as a final thought to carry with you from this deep dive, this story is such a powerful metaphor, isn't it, for facing any complex, unfamiliar system in life, a new job, moving to a new city, learning a new skill, even just navigating some complex bureaucracy.
Absolutely. It's about breaking down that overwhelming whole into manageable steps, finding your own agency in the process, and building confidence through action, even, imperfect action.
So maybe think about a first time you're currently facing, or one you anticipate down the road. How can the step-by-step approach, that willingness to feel nervous but act anyway, and the pride in navigating the challenge, how can all that from this story of a first flight apply to your own journey?